you with the right phone. One of the things that we do at my store is we spend more time listening to customers and telling anecdotes than we do trying to sell the phone. We're more interested in what's going to be the right fit for that customer because the worst experience you can have. The worst experience you can have is if you walk out the door with that phone and it doesn't work the way you want it to work.
Guys, I go to Europe occasionally, and especially the UK and Ireland, and I went down this pathway that Roy's talking about, and I found that the best thing for me to do was just buy a cheap cell phone from O2 over in Dublin, and with a SIM card in it, and I was able to use it very cheaply and call back to the U.S. for a tiny fraction of what I could have called back for on my American cell phone.
That's true, and that phone will be able to be used over and over and over again. It's probably unlocked. Most of the GSM phones outside the United States are already unlocked for you to be, because they do a lot of international traveling over there. People go from one country to the next. They're not going to buy a phone, then have to go to another country, buy another phone. So their technology is set up over there where you basically buy the phone, then you buy the SIM card with the time on it, however many minutes you want, and you just use it up.
I have a question about batteries and charging. I heard a long time ago that if you use a car charger, the car charger is harder on the batteries and they last less long than if you use a AC wall charger. Is that true, or is that not true, or has something changed?
No, that's true. If you use, I tell people this all the time. The time to use the car charger is when your battery's really low, or if you're in a rural area and it's down below, say, 1/4 full, then throw the car charger on it, and that'll give you the extra power. Phones in rural areas work better if you've got at least a quarter to half charge on that at a minimum to be able to get out and reach a signal, because you don't have enough juice to reach that signal. But a car charger will charge that phone faster than a home charger, because home chargers trickle charge it. Car chargers, direct current, it'll charge it a lot faster. In most cases, you can drive around town for about an hour, hour and a half, put it on a car charger, and you're going to see that battery life dramatically increase.
Is there a difference between the batteries that you buy that are non-branded, for example, from the manufacturer that you get your phone, compared to these non-branded? Is there any danger? Because I've heard of batteries exploding. I've heard of phones catching on fire. Is there anything that I need to be concerned with, and the class needs to be concerned with off-branded batteries?
That's definitely a concern. When you buy new batteries for your cell phone, make sure you buy from the manufacturer, because if you buy from a third party, their specs and their quality of work is not up to standards with the manufacturers. But speaking of battery technology, the newer devices have the lithium-ion batteries, so the more you use it, the more you charge it, it will have better battery life as it goes on. The normal standard battery cycle is about 3,000 power cycles. That's fully charging it and then discharging it. And then once a month, whether you have a smartphone or a regular phone, do a full complete power cycle, which means charge it fully and then let it completely die.
On those cheap batteries, too, you're going to know pretty quick if you get a cheap battery whether that battery is worth what you paid for it or not, because the batteries that Rig's talking about that don't last very long and they're cheap, they won't last very long. I mean, you're going to have problems with them. They're not going to either hold the charge, they're not going to be consistent. And most dealers, and especially around here, I don't know anybody that sells a cheap battery. It's just bad business to do that. One of the fears is that if you sell a cheap battery, if it corrodes, it'll corrode inside the phone, and then you're responsible for selling that battery battery explodes or corrodes inside your phone. So dealers don't like to do that.
Yeah, it can definitely do more harm than good.
So let me see if I understand. Riggs, you said that we need to do a monthly power cycle, fully charge and then fully discharge. Now, how do we fully discharge? Are you saying on the weekend just let the phone go?
Just let the phone fully die and let it turn off by itself, because your battery level, your battery indicator on top of your screen is a indication of what your battery level is reading. So it could be off by off as a degree. So it's always good to reset the battery stats.
Let me see if I've got this right, class. I remember that batteries, rechargeable batteries, had a memory. So if you if it goes to 100% full charge and then you recharge it when it goes down 10% or 90% full, then the battery seems to remember that 90% is almost dead now.
Yes, exactly, and it resets it basically is what it's doing.
So
when
what-
you do
so-
when you let the battery die fully, it's basically resetting it to zero.
Okay, so you're saying that that's a required maintenance item.
I always do it. I always suggest it too.
Well, Riggs, I had heard that for many years and knew that to be true about NiCad batteries, nickel cadmium batteries.
Yeah.
But it's my understanding that with the new LiPos, the lithium polymer
Yeah.
batteries, that's not required anymore. Am I mistaken on that?
It's still required. I mean, there's forums and everywhere, and Apple support and battery support. It's always suggested to do
Well,
it.
thank you for correcting me on that.
It's good to massage that battery. That's what you're doing, massing the battery.
Physically take it out.
Yeah.
So in the remaining
That's a Smiling Bob battery.
in the remaining minutes of this class, what can we do to help our phones? Should we have difficulty if we can't get to our technical support people?
Well, you have that question asked a lot, and most of my customers already know the answer to that. If they don't, they should. I always recommend there's two things that you can do when you're out in an area and you can't get to us if you got a problem with that phone to try to get it to self-correct. Number one, simply turn the phone off, leave it off for about 30 or 40 seconds, power it back up, and see if that doesn't correct the problem. If that does not correct the problem, most customers know to pull the battery out. Now, some manufacturers say you don't have to have the phone on to do it. I recommend that the phone be on when you pull the battery out, because that causes an immediate discharge, which is what you want, all the current off that phone. Then when you stick the battery back in it, it recharges itself.
Roy, it's been great having you here today. Tell people how they can get a hold of you. Where's your stores?
Well, I've got, I'm one of the oldest Alltel dealers around, so my store in the mall is over there. If you picture Santa Claus in the mall where he sits, I'm right there to the left of Santa Claus. Been there forever, right there. You go through the main entrance where Ruby Tuesday's restaurant is. You walk down to where it tees off, look over to your left, and you'll see us. My main store is over on South Campbell, right next to Incredible Pizza in the Imperial Plaza Shopping Center. And you can stop by there anytime. Easy access. Pull up to the front door and run in. Riggs or myself or Dennis or Laura, somebody will be in there that can help you out.
You know, Vinny, exactly, we got to meet up this Friday at Ziggy's Cafe. But I was going to say, though, obviously in an emergency situation, you got to have a cell phone, but you also have to have a storm shelter. And don't forget about our friends at MissouriStormShelters.com. We also say thanks to our friends, SwissAmerica.com. Vinny, we're going to have to call it a day. And I think we're going to meet back up here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. You got any closing words?
Yes, class. Above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.
Exactly.
Amen.
See you. Thank you, Roy, Stan,
Yes,
Riggs.
sir.
See,
Thank you.
We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
KWTO AM Springfield. And for the latest weather information, log on to our website, newstalk560.com.